Today I'm going to be modifying or upgrading the rear turn signals on my bike. They currently only function as a turn signal. I would like for them to function also as a running light and a turn signal. The front ones do this, the rear ones do not. My theory is more light is more better. So I'm going to go ahead and swap this out. Now this won't work for every bike, but I have my turn signal. I'm taking off the lens. Take out the bulb. And I'm also gonna take this guy apart. They don't all come apart this way, but this one does. So I'm gonna take this out. And what I'm gonna do is pull this guy back a little bit. Kind of force this up through this hole. All the way out. Oh, that one's really stuck in there. Pull harder. Not always the answer, but sometimes it is. Alright, there we go. So now I get this apart. Now, I don't want to remove the green ground wire. On a Honda, green is ground, and I'm going to leave that guy there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this green wire out of the sheathing because I want to leave it in there, and I'll show you why in just a second. Like that. This one is going to stay. This one is not. Now, once I have this apart, I can push this whole unit up out of this. Like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this one that accepts a single filament bulb, and I'm going to replace it with one that accepts a dual filament bulb. Alright? Now these take up the same amount of space inside this, the single and the dual filament bulb are. So when you go to put this back in there, it's not a big deal. It's definitely going to fit as long as you get one from the same type of bike. Now, this one does have to be in a particular orientation. And when you put this in here, you want to make sure that you can feel the spring action. Now, the spring is there because these bulbs have these little tips on the end. You'll push in on the spring and turn them to lock them, and that's also gonna line up your contacts. Because I have these wires, when I got them, they were already cut. I don't really know what happened with those, but whatever. I'm going to cut off the damaged portion because I don't want to deal with dirty wires, and maybe it makes a good connection and maybe it doesn't, and who knows what's on there. I don't want to be breathing in whatever may have dripped on there. Mouse pee is not a good thing to inhale, so you want to avoid that if you can. Alright. So now I'm going to take my strippers. I'm going to have to join these. Make sure you match color to color. Make sure that you have your heat shrink on there so you don't have to be sad later that you didn't. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have these, they're about the same length. That's where you want to cut them, so they're about the same. This is how I do this. There's lots of ways you could do it. We're going to form an X like this. We're going to keep that X in the center, and we're going to go around the wire this way and around the wire this way. Kind of be opposite. So because my old turn signals were kind of cruddy and broken, this part that they call the stem had deteriorated and it was kind of dangling off. So I've ordered some replacement ones, and I'm going to have to modify this slightly because of the way that they attach. Instead of going all the way through the fender, they actually only go through this bar, and it can't exceed this length. The real test of this is, will it fit in the mount where it has to go, and then will the mount fit on the fender without hitting it, because that was my issue before. Now it's going to fit nice and flush. We should be able to put our turn signals on. Here we are at the back of the bike. Here's the brown that's coming from the wiring harness. There's only one female bullet connector here. Here is where our running light goes to for the brake light. So we're going to need to make this be able to accept 3 different bullets. Okay, so I have these little brushes. They're all kinds of different sizes. But I'm going to clean inside each of these. These are female bullets in here. And you want to make sure that you get all of the dirt and the junk out of that so that you have a nice solid connection when you go to plug into this. If you have a lot of grime in there, it can cause it to not really connect very well, and you have dim lights and things like that, and you don't really want that. Okay, there we go. We're going to check this and make sure that it's where we want it. So we can see right there, this is going to be good. Crimp it with kind of a bigger one. And I'm going to flip it over so that I can get this one in here. You'll notice that this is going to make a nice secure connection. And if you ever look at wiring that was done in the factory, a lot of times you'll see it'll have this kind of crease through the middle. And that just really makes that kind of wrap around there and secure really tightly. Now we have our flux on there. We're going to go ahead and solder this. Okay, now we're over here at the bike, obviously. We're going to use the pigtail that we made earlier. And I'm going to plug this into the brown wire. And remember, that's the one that is the running light for our tail light. Now I've got the one with the orange wires. This is actually going to be our left turn. Put this ground in here. We're going to take our solid orange, or whatever your turn signal color is. Plug that back in. And then you're going to take your running light wire and you're going to plug that into the brown. So that's going to be that guy. Now, it is very, very important to know which one of these is the running light and which one is the turn signal. And that's because if you have these flipped and your running light is actually using the filament that should be your turn signal, it will melt the plastic cover and it'll bubble it and blister it. It could actually start a fire. So it's very important that you know which one is which. If you're not sure, then you hook one of them up and see which one's brighter, but definitely be sure that you plug this in correctly before you take off with it. You can even, I mean, if you turn on the turn signal and it doesn't get brighter, then that's going to be your problem. So now let's test this. I'm going to turn it on. There's our running light, and that's going to be our turn signal. And now we have more light to be seen better in the dark. So now that I have everything assembled, I'm going to show you that it does in fact work. I'm going to turn it on, and you can see there's light here, here, and here, all the way across. Got brake light, still works. Got turn signals. So now I have more light. Henry's gonna put up some videos so you can watch more Vintage Vixen. I'm out of here. I gotta go find another random part.